Okay, so I started workshopping some trade ideas because I keep talking about don't be surprised Brad Holmes trades a pick, don't be surprised Brad Holmes trades a pick. And I'm like, you know what? I need to come up with some trade proposals.
Back it up.
Yeah, so throwing some names out there, all right? And this is sort of the framework. The first thing you need to do is you got to find a team that wants draft capital, wants to dump some salary, and is perhaps interested in a rebuild. And, you know, it's hard to actually find because there's not a ton of teams that have, I'm going to guess, there's not that have given up on the season. Like there's obvious ones like the Rams, but it's not a long list yet of teams that you can say, well, they're going to start a rebuild because they're still considered in playoff contention, so they might not think that they need to start a rebuild. But what about the Vegas Raiders? They just signed Max Crosby to a 25, I think it's $26 million contract. And wasn't it 2 first-rounders for Khalil Mack? Could the Lions give up one of their first-rounders and a future first for Max Crosby? Would the Vegas Raiders be interested in that? Or is that even not enough to get it done? Is Crosby one of their future pieces?
I personally wouldn't want to do it if I was a Lions fan. I love where Hutch is, and that doesn't mean I don't want another guy on the other side because that's, you know, what a lot of teams do nowadays. They went and got Chandler Jones, even though they had Max Crosby, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for his contract, and I think for where the Lions are, they have the 2 first-round picks. They have James Houston, Okwara, Charles Harris. Do you remember even saying his name? I know he's been hurt. That's why you haven't. But that was a guy they gave a 2-year deal to, right?
Yeah.
I think we're okay keeping our assets and not going after him.
I'm going to guess, too, the Vegas Raiders probably want to build around him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about the pick at 15 to Pittsburgh for safety Minkah Fitzpatrick?
I wouldn't do it because I love Kirby Joseph, and I got Tracy Walker coming back. Now, Tracy Walker is a bit of an unknown because of the injury. He's already tweeted out pretty recently now, though, he feels like he's going to be back in ahead of schedule. Very early right now, but with that being said, I think that I trust Dan Campbell, I trust Aaron Glenn, I trust Brad Holmes to get some depth there with other resources than going after a Minkah. But even though I thought Minkah was older, and then you reminded me how old he is, actually.
He's 26.
26 years old. I mean, Minkah is one of the better defensive backs in this league, but I'm not shutting the door completely on that one, but I do like where the Lions are at, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, this one, I agree, and I'm thinking, again, that Pittsburgh probably wants to keep him, but if they're interested in starting then when have the Steelers ever gone rebuild? Have they ever? I don't remember in our lifetime the Steelers saying, yeah, we're going to unload talent and start over and load up on draft picks. I mean, maybe it's happened, but it's just not what the Steelers have ever had to do. This is a lesser move, but Houston, you think you could get Christian Kirksey, their middle linebacker. He's their third leading tackler. He's a bit older, but I like a veteran in there who's active, and he's an NFL Man of the Year candidate, which might not mean much to people, but I think those are strong locker room presence guys. And that would probably be a mid-round pick. That might be an underrated kind of subtle move that they could look at.
Yeah, I mean, for the right price, I think you bring, a veteran in, but right now that guy who's filling that role is Anzalone.
Yeah,
and he's
they love
done,
him.
Yeah,
they love him.
We know they love him. He's voted captain all the time. Like 2 years he's been here. And he's actually played pretty well the last few weeks.
I will say this. This whole exercise is tough right now because of the limited number of teams that might be looking to do this in the weeks to come, and it becomes more obvious who might be interested in a rebuild and who's fading from playoff contention. There'll be more teams to talk about their rosters and who the Lions might be able to trade for a player off those rosters.